Good evening. I'm Gloria, and this is Open Mind Chat Show. And this evening, I have a returning guest, an amazing, wonderful guest, and it's Jay Weidner. Good evening, and thank you for joining us again. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. I'm really excited because tonight's topic we're going to speak about is the secrets of alchemy. So, Jay, just let it go, please.
That's a huge question, and of course, it would be ridiculous to think that you could even answer that in even 50 hours. But I'll
Yeah,
do my best.
but you
So,
will.
to understand alchemy, first have to understand that there was once a very advanced, long-lived civilization here on Earth, and it got destroyed somehow. I don't know how.
Mhm.
I don't even want to. I mean, I do know how. It's a solar flare, plasma storm is what destroyed our civilization,
Mhm.
and we can only imagine what their civilization really was. We can look at their buildings, and they're amazing, and their pyramids and everything,
Mhm.
and know this was one amazing civilization. Well, this civilization had a science. It wasn't like our science at all. It was not based
Mhm.
on technology. There was technology, but not the way that we envision it. It was based
Yeah.
on ether. The ether is this invisible ocean that we swim in, and it connects everything, and it's got a power to it that you can draw down from, and it's
Mhm.
got a shape, and it has a purpose,
Mhm.
and because we can't see it, feel it, touch it, or taste it, we think it doesn't exist, but it does,
Mhm.
and people like Nikola Tesla were using it to power things by drawing down the energy. And if you look at a lot of the architecture that's been left over from this civilization, you'll see that the form is functional, so that the towers in these old buildings would draw down the
Yeah.
etheric forces. In the cathedrals, the towers would draw down the forces into the floor space and heal
Mhm.
people. That's why they had to keep the doors open to the cathedrals. They weren't there to worship. Um, Fulcanelli clearly says, my master clearly says that they were not there for worship. They were
Mhm.
there for healing.
Yeah.
So, alchemy, so we now know that there's a civilization. We now know that there's an ether, and we now know that we can manipulate that ether for our benefit. Okay,
Mhm.
through architecture, through meditation, through exercises, through yoga, all designed to enhance the health of the human being. And alchemy has two goals. Alchemy's two goals are complete enlightenment, complete illumination, and two, to live a long life. Not because you're a greedy person that wants to live a long time, because understanding alchemy takes a long time.
Mhm.
Fulcanelli says you can't really understand alchemy till you're in your 70s. And I'm not there
Okay.
yet, but I'm beginning to understand why they're saying that, because the
Mhm.
brain has to wire itself up in a certain kind of way, in a very holistic way. And this has to be done with intention. So alchemists,
Mhm.
you know, kings used to capture alchemists and torture them to get their secrets. And the alchemists would
Mhm.
just say over and over, even if I gave you the secret, you couldn't do anything with it because you're just not the right personality for it. It would probably kill you.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
So I was in Peru, and man, it must have been 1999 maybe, and no, 1998. I go there every time there's an 8 year. So I went there in 2008, 2018, 2000, uh, yeah, 2018, 2008, 2000. Before that,
Mhm.
whatever that was, I've been there four times.
Yeah.
But the first time I was there, I met this very knowledge, because I was looking for the connections between alchemy and shamanism, because
Yeah.
alchemy is Western shamanism. In other words,
Mhm.
every group on the country has a shamanic tradition, and European shamanic tradition is alchemy, and that's what it
Mhm.
is. That's what. And so what's so beautiful about alchemy is that just like in Europe, just like everything that's European, it's a combination of shamanism and science. That's why it's
Mhm.
so interesting. So the alchemists so the whole point of alchemy is to understand that everything is light and that we
Mhm.
need to consume light. We need to take and imbue this light into us. And how you do that. And of course, we know that light comes in through our eyes, and we know that our eyes are connected to the pineal gland. And we know that
Mhm.
the pineal gland is activated by light. When light strikes it in the morning, when you get up,
Mhm.
serotonin is released. And when you go to bed at night and you turn the lights off, melatonin is released. And so
Mhm.
pineal gland is governed by these two hormones, serotonin and melatonin. It's a Jewish couple,
Mhm.
Sarah and Mel. And
Mhm.
they um, and so we also understand that serotonin is one atom away from dimethyltryptamine, the most
Mhm.
powerful psychedelic on the planet.
Yeah.
And we know that melatonin is associated with cellular rejuvenation and the lengthening of the telomeres, which are what governs the length of your life. So we,
Mhm.
in one flash of a moment, we now have the both aspects of alchemy
Mhm.
that I mentioned earlier. We have total enlightenment through an endogenous
Yeah.
homeopathic dose of DMT
Yeah.
that, that gives you enlightenment, and then long life, which is what the melatonin does.
Yeah.
So somehow you have to figure out in alchemy how to
Yeah.
work these light created hormones that you
Yeah.
produce in your own body. Now,
Okay.
watching TV late at night is really bad for you. You need to shut down the lights at night, especially in
Mhm.
the winter. Your body must rejuvenate. You must release that melatonin. If you stay up late at night with the lights on, you're going to have very deep problems with your sleep, which is going to
Yeah.
cause health problems. So, alchemist knows that you go to bed when it's dark and you get up when it's light, and
Yeah.
that's what you have to do. You sleep longer in the winter than you do in the summer. So in the
Mhm.
summer, you only have like maybe 7 hours of sleep or 6 hours of sleep, or rest from the darkness or from the light. But in the
Mhm.
winter, you've got here we've got what 13, 14 hours of dark in the middle
Mhm.
of the winter, and that becomes irritating to a lot of people. But you need to work the seasons to your benefit. All right.
Mhm.
So
Got that.
now I'm going to get into uh, uh, so now we have the understanding that there's some relationship between light, darkness, pineal gland, hormones,
Mhm.
serotonin, melatonin, and and alchemy, essentially. All right. So back to my story. I was in Peru and I was talking to a
Mhm.
shaman, very knowledgeable shaman, um, and he because there was a connection that I discovered through my research, that there was a connection between um, European alchemy and the alchemy practiced in the Inca countries, Peru
Mhm.
and Bolivia a little bit too. So I went to Peru on a very long trip. And I said I said, do you understand what alchemy is? He says, I do. Yeah, we practice it. And I said, well, I was very young. I'm younger than I am now. And I did not understand alchemy at the time at all. And he
Mhm.
said, well, let me show you something. I said, okay. And he brought out something. He said, this is the most sacred object to the Quechua people. And this object is sacred because it explains alchemy. And I said, well,
Mhm.
what is it? And he brought it out. And this is what he showed me. This is a
Okay.
rock that's been carved into a
Yeah.
torah, into a
Yeah.
donut,
Yeah.
into what is the the way that the etheric field is shaped. Okay.
Okay.
What it
Yeah.
is, the forces run around this outside down into the hole,
Yeah.
through the hole, out the bottom, back around in an infinite way, all the way around. Okay, this is the infinite forces. This is what an atom is. An atom isn't a particle spinning around, electron spinning around a nucleus. That's a mistaken view. An atom is a total gravity in the center, right, and then everything spinning around it. You are this too. Your body is in this center, in this hole. That's your body. Your body sits in that hole. Then this force field is around your body.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you're sitting here with this force field around you, and you yourself, through the pineal gland, are attached to the larger plasma field that's shaped just like this that surrounds the Earth. Okay. And this is also what's around the sun, and it's also what's around the galaxy. If you look at a galaxy, it's got the form and all the stars are right here, but there's a larger electromagnetic, plasma, etheric, whatever you want to call it, field around the galaxy, and that's what causes it to form into a spiral. It's going around this center vortex of gravity, and this is what everything is. This is the form that shapes all of our reality. Light itself, photons are shaped just like this. And so when you when you when you gaze into the sun in the morning, you're taking that light and you're drawing it into your pineal gland. That's why people think that breatharians aren't true, but I actually believe that they are drawing sunlight in as food, you might say. And so also time, by the way, you asked me about alchemy of time. Time also travels in this same formation. So we have 4 ages, right? We have the Golden Age, the Silver Age, the Bronze Age, and the Iron Age, which is also called the Kali Yuga. All right, we have yugas. They're in the Hindu system, which is an alchemical system, and so what we have is the Golden Age is the time when all this energy in this torus is expanding. So that starts at the very center of this hole, at the very center of this torus, and as energy comes out the bottom, it's expanding all the way until it gets to the equator out here. That's all expanding. That's the Golden Age. The Silver Age now is half the size, and it's when these energies start compressing. So the Silver Age takes you up to the lip of this thing, and then the Dwapara Yuga, the Bronze Age, starts, and then at the very end, as you start going down this vortex really fast, that's the Kali Yuga. That's the age we're in now. And then when we pop out the other side, so I'm one of those people that believes that the change of the Yuga from the Kali Yuga to the Treta Yuga is actually, or from the Iron Age to the Golden Age, that is the alchemical act of history. That is turning the lead gold. That is taking the darkness of the Kali Yuga, caught inside the darkness of this vortex at the very center of our torus, to coming out this bottom end into expansion of light and energy and all of that. That is alchemical history. That's how alchemy works its way through history. So alchemy can work its way into many, many different subjects. And so we also have so the Egyptians, who the original name for Egypt, that what they called was Alchem. It means the black lands. And so every year the alluvial soil from the Nile would wash up the Nile, and that's what their food in. And this soil was has super qualities. Anything that's black in nature has like a lot of qualities in it that you're looking for. Okay, so black oaks are very big in alchemy. If you can grow your food in the blackest of black soils, then that's what you want to do. And so the original prima materia of alchemy is black. And they say that you're looking, whatever you're looking for, it's black, right? So so you say, okay, then there substances out there that have a high concentration of these etheric Tauruses in it? And the answer is yeah. There's a lot of stuff out there that has it. Blue green algae, mistletoe.
Mhm.
Um, I,
Mistletoe.
yeah,
Did you say mistletoe?
mistletoe.
Really? Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah, mistletoe is the most powerful, actually. So this is like a secret I can say out in public because I won't get arrested. But if you do live in an area that has oak trees, that has
Yeah,
mistletoe, don't not anything else, no other tree, just oak trees. You need to um, you need to get a ladder, of course, to get up to the
yeah,
tree. You lay out a blanket, a big, maybe two or three blankets on the ground.
yeah,
Make sure it does not touch the ground. Make sure the
yeah,
mistletoe. Remember, mistletoe is one of the only trees, only plants that does not grow out of the ground. It grows out of
yeah,
an oak tree or whatever tree it's on, right? So
yeah.
its roots never touch the ground. That's very important.
Mhm.
Understand? It's never
Okay.
shorted itself out. Remember, it's all electricity. All right. So
Yeah.
mistletoe has never been grounded. It's never shorted itself out on the ground. Okay. So
Okay.
inside oak trees is this huge amount. They're hollow for the most part. The branches are hollow, and the middle of the
Mhm.
trunk is hollow. And the oak tree is pumping water every day. It pumps water out of the ground, tons and tons of water, throws it out into the branches, which is this incredible pumping process that people don't appreciate. How much, I
Mhm.
mean, hundreds of gallons every day on oak tree
Mhm.
pumps out of the ground, puts out in the branch. Then at night, that water seeps back down and goes back down, and the tree is empty. And then
Mhm.
this happens again every day and every day.
Wow.
And oak tree is very, very important in alchemy. If you read old alchemy texts, they're always constantly telling you about the oak tree.
I'm aware of the oak tree being really important in in research I've done for ancient mystery schools and things like that. It's always the oak tree, no other tree but the oak tree. And I knew it had sort of certain elements or properties, the oak. Um,
Yeah.
um, and obviously, a lot of it's been felled for some. I mean, I don't know. How do you feel about this? Slightly digress. I was on an island, and I'm going back again the end of the month off the mainland, and I was told the story how it used to be full of oak trees, and back in the day, it was like spiritual people, the ancestors way back,
The Druid.
and the reverence they had for the oak tree. And when the Christian Crusades come in, Catholicism, it just chopped down, and they said we're chopping it down because of their type of worship, and they destroyed many of the oak trees. Have you heard things like this before?
Oh, absolutely. They destroyed them in France, England,
Hmm.
Ireland, Scotland.
Yeah,
Outrageous, and they did it for the reason I'm telling you right here. Okay,
yeah,
so the oak tree has this what in alchemy is called black water. Remember, everything
yeah.
is black. Okay,
Black,
that
black.
water that's flowing through the oak tree is black.
Hmm.
If you chopped an oak tree off the branch, you would see black
Yeah.
water pouring out, and a lot would pour out. You would literally
Okay.
gallons of black water would pour out. Okay, so this mistletoe is sitting with its roots in this black water. This water that goes deep down in the ground every day. It comes out
Hmm.
and around. It's moving. You see what I mean? It's a very special kind of watering process that's going on here,
Yeah.
all powered by gravity and deep earth minerals are being pushed into the oak tree. Oak tree are so hard that it's almost impossible to cut it or break it with a
Hmm.
chainsaw even. And
Yeah.
this mistletoe sits in this water. Okay, and it never touches the ground. So you go to the mistletoe. I'd prefer if you used at least a silver knife, if you can. If you can find a gold
Hmm.
knife, I actually found a gold
Hmm.
knife in a thrift store, and I bought it like $100, and I use it for my
Hmm.
mistletoe. Remember, it's electrical. Everything I'm talking about is
Yeah,
electrical
yeah.
here.
I'm with
There's a
you.
there's an electromagnetic field around the oak tree too. Okay, the
Yeah.
branches, what that because oak tree is very magnetic, super
Hmm.
magnetic. Okay, so you cut the mistletoe, make sure it doesn't hit the ground. If it hits the ground, make sure there's a blanket there. to absorb
Mm-hmm.
it. All right. And then gather it all up. Try to do this at night on a full moon, too, by the way, because when the moon is full, all that water is drawn up like a
Mm-hmm.
tide into the this is all druid alchemy, into the
Yeah.
branch of the oak tree. So then you take the mistletoe, try to stay in as much in the dark as you possibly can, and
Mm-hmm.
chop it up. Take it wherever you are, and try to keep it in the dark as much as you can, and chop it
Mm-hmm.
up in bits. Keep the berries; they're very useful, and then throw it into mason jars, and pour whatever it is, 200 proof alcohol over the top of it, and then let it
Mm-hmm.
soak for a year and a half,
Mm-hmm.
18 months. Keep it in the dark. Don't let any
Mm-hmm.
light get into it, except maybe the light bulb is fine, but no
Mm-hmm.
sunlight. Keep it in the
Mm-hmm.
dark. And in
Mm-hmm.
18 months, you have, and I'm not giving any medical advice. I'm just telling you about alchemy, right? I'm,
Yeah.
I'm not giving any medical advice. But
No.
I will tell you this. I got this information from a very, very, very good alchemist who
Yeah.
died about 20 years ago when he said he was in his 90s. He could have
Mm-hmm.
been 120, 130
Yeah.
when he died. And he told me all of this. That's where I got this information. And he said
Mm-hmm.
that, and by the way, he was killed by the French version of the CIA, just so you know.
I'm with you.
And he told me this. And he said that what he did was, and this is why he got killed, and this is why oak trees got chopped down, is that he would go to old people's homes. He would go to hospitals with his tincture.
Yeah.
And he said 6 drops is all you need. So he poured 6 drops onto their tongue, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said it was almost immediate. He said he was curing cancer. He was
Mm-hmm.
reversing aging processes. He was doing all of that,
Mm-hmm.
and he and then he disappeared. I mean, I never saw him again. I talked to him on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the last time I ever talked to him, and then finally, I I heard from someone who knew him that he had been disappeared, that he just
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
probably taken in and interrogated to find out what
Mm-hmm.
his secrets were and to shut him up. But we're in a
Mm-hmm.
time now where there's so much confusion and everything that I feel kind of free to talk about this stuff now because uh, I don't think that the people in charge are smart enough to understand what I'm actually laying out.
No.
So,
Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we look at all the bad advice they've been giving us for 2 years now. None of it
Yeah.
has turned out to be true, right?
No. No.
All right, so the whole the secret is that there's an underlying etheric dynamic going
Yeah.
on that we can't see,
Yeah.
but we can sense, and um, and what you want to do is you've got this force around you. This form is
Mm-hmm.
around you. You're in the center. You're the part that's right in the
Yeah.
center. You're where everything is going. So this vortex comes down
Mm-hmm.
into your
Yeah.
pineal, down here into your pineal gland. It
Mm-hmm.
tightens all the way through
Yeah.
your body till it hits your navel, and then it
Yeah.
sort of untightens and it goes and then all around again, and it keeps
I'm
going
with you.
around
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
So if you live in a city, um, your natural desire will be to shrink your
Yeah.
field because
Yeah.
you wanted to intermingle with other people because you don't know who they are, right?
Yeah.
And so you're in an elevator, you will consciously shrink your field down to skin level. You can
Mm-hmm.
feel yourself constricting in an elevator. You have a
Mm-hmm.
natural tendency to constrict the field when you're around a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So what's so great about like things like rock concerts is that you're with a lot of people, but you're kind of letting yourself go, so your
Yeah.
field expands and intermixes with all the other people who are rocking and rolling.
Sharing the space.
Yeah,
Sharing the
like
space.
really
Yeah.
great common
Yeah.
community thing going on, and
Yeah.
this is mass dancing and all that is the same thing. That's why we should all. That's why telling people to stay in their homes and not go outside is like the worst advice that you can give
Yeah.
anybody anywhere to get better. You need to get
Yeah.
outside all the time. Um,
Yes, I'm with
so,
you.
we're in the Kali Yuga, and the outside world has gone completely crazy because we're trapped in the center of this vortex here,
Yeah.
and we're spinning
Hmm.
so fast. And this
Hmm.
vortex spin is like 100 times more than the spin out here. Spin out here
Yeah.
is all hazy and uh, we're not in any hurry.
I'm with you.
Right? But when
Yeah.
you get into Kali Yuga, everything has to be done immediately. Everything, but that is changing now. You're seeing the supply chains breaking down. We're seeing the what I think could be the final end of the Kali Yuga,
Mhm.
ending in
Yeah.
chaos. It's not going to be
Yeah.
fun to watch, but
Mhm.
all of our
I'm in agreement with you. I'm definitely in agreement with you on that. Before we go to the next stage, so let me see if I've got this correct. So I've heard similar narratives before. So our ancient ancestors had an awareness of alchemy, and that how it is part of our existence and what we could do with it, and they used it in their sciences, in their architecture, in their healing. So I mean, they were way above what we are even today. And then obviously there was what we call a natural disaster, solar flare or something. So most of, let's say, humanity was wiped out, but some still survived, would you say? Because the knowledge of the alchemical, the knowledge of it wasn't totally lost, was it?
No, it was saved. Graham Hancock's great book, "Fingerprints of the Gods," is all about
Yeah.
how a group of people on ships went from area to area, and
Yeah.
people in North America remember it. Natives in South
Yeah.
America remember these people. Hawaiians remember them. Everybody
Yeah.
remembers this group of people coming in and teaching people how to read and write and do our agriculture.
Yeah.
And I weirdly enough, have respect for women. That was one of the main things that they were
Yeah.
teaching was
Well, yeah.
have respect. Of course, you can imagine after catastrophe, it's probably one every man for himself. So women are going to
Yeah.
be not physically as
Yeah.
adapted as men are. So
Hmm.
they're going to
Hmm.
have to, it's going to be a bad situation for women.
Yeah. I'm with
So,
you.
it's kind of interesting. But I believe actually, I believe there was this initial disaster which began the downfall of this civilization. But the more and more that I look, the more I
Hmm.
realize that actually there's been a series of disasters and they're happening
Hmm.
faster and more recently than we think. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've now come to think that the disasters happen about every 400 years and that our
Hmm.
memories are really bad, that we do not
Hmm.
remember. And we have buildings, you have them too. We have buildings all over the United States and Canada, which um, they were built too quickly. They were built in an era where there was no electricity, it was just horse and buggy. And these buildings are beautiful, incredibly beautiful buildings, but the doors to the buildings are 12 feet tall. Why would you build a door 6 feet more than you needed? Right? Because I mean, the average human is 6 feet, or I mean, the
Yeah.
tallest of humans
Yeah.
is around 6 feet. Most humans are about 5'5". So, and I've been in these buildings, and I remember thinking, why do they have 14-foot ceilings in these buildings? Well, it must
Mm.
have cost a fortune to heat them, right? I
Yeah.
mean, all the heat goes to the top, right? So you're
Yeah.
down here where it's,
Yeah.
you're going to be cold. So I believe also looking at things like the Chicago Fire of 1871 here in the United States. Um, they say, oh, a cow kicked over a candle and started the fire. But if you actually examine that day, you go to
Mhm.
newspapers or whatever and look at what happened that day, there were like 14 fires around Lake Michigan, far away from Chicago. So something happened on a huge scale which burned down 14 cities in the United States, not just Chicago.
I'm
And the
with
same,
you.
if you look at pictures of after the San Francisco earthquake, 1906, um, buildings are like sheared off. Stone buildings have these weird
Yeah.
shearing marks, and you're like, well, how does a stone building burn
Yeah.
down?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
quite curious.
You know,
And
I've got to jump in there. You know, you've just raised something that's coming in. We know the history that we've all been taught is an absolute lie, so we know that anyway. But we can understand, obviously, if those in power, so to speak, have the alchemical process and they know what they're doing. But how they could mask, you know, I have no issue thinking there are more disasters and current ones than we've been told, but it is being hidden in plain sight, or we are told, like we're told something's going on and it's not happening. Yeah. The TV tells us, but we know it's not really happening. It's a lie. So I have no problem with that. That's fascinating. That what you're saying, an earthquake would not shear off the top of a concrete building. There's no way. It should crumble. That's a vibration coming from below up. So there you
something.
go. What do you think though in current times? I mean, which is, well, it's in our timeline. What do you think caused that if it wasn't an earthquake? I'm curious.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can say that I think that we've misunderstood a lot of the things that we're looking at. Where
Uh-huh.
I live very close to um, northern Arizona, southern Utah, and if you
Hmm.
drive through those areas, this is where John Ford used to film his westerns, and
Yeah.
in an era of eerie, stark rock formations that are just
Yeah.
coming right out of the desert, like,
Yeah.
and they've done experiments. Remember, I said everything is electric. They've done
Yeah.
experiments where they've taken like slate or rock, and then they
Hmm.
blast electricity down into the rock, and they videotape it. And you watch a videotape, and it's like watching the American Southwest form right in front of your eyes. And so I
Bloody
believe that
hell.
the American Southwest was actually struck by a huge amount of lightning strikes, including one that created the Grand Canyon, which must have been the mother of all lightning strikes that have ever hit our planet. And all those weird rock formations are not eroded by wind; those are done by. So what I'm trying to say is that, and my work in alchemy, my main work in alchemy is
Yeah.
about this. I believe that we get hit by periodic plasma strikes from
Uh,
space. Now, I don't
yeah.
know if they're being intelligently directed. A lot of people think they are. It could be
Hmm.
because it's pretty incredible. It could hit cities, with such exactitude. And, your own Crystal Palace in London
Yeah.
burned down in a mysterious fire.
Yes.
How does
Yes.
glass burn down? And so over and over, we see that there's these incredible places with these incredible structures, amazing.
Absolutely. The
And
fire of London, yes, London, near enough the whole of London burnt down. The
yes, it
fire of
did.
London wiped out.
1666, yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. And then magically, the banking, the city of London was created, and the banking empire was right there where the
There
fires
you go.
burned.
Yes, yes.
Amazing
So
coincidence.
then you could say we can do conspiracy theory. It's my show. I can do what I want. We can say that was an intentional destruction.
Oh, absolutely,
We
absolutely.
an intentional destruction. You know, break it down, then build up something. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Yeah,
Well, what
makes
they
sense.
did was, so um, the power group, I'll just call them that. The power
Yeah,
group is the very first thing that the power group, the reason that the group that's in power is because they were the first people to discover how to build really, really good boats and how to get
hmm
out into the ocean. So those
hmm
would be the first people to have the first maps. They would know where all the other people are. They would meet them, have
Were
commerce
they
with
alchemists? Do you think they were alchemists? They knew the
them.
secrets. Yeah,
Definitely, they were alchemists. And
yeah,
the alchemists, by the way, in France, in the like the 11 and 1200s, the
hmm
alchemists had a what do you call it? A ranking, and it was all not near language, like it was all shipping name, like navy names. You're like
yeah,
not near, and all this because the power group that rules the world came from these people that built these ships. Just like,
yeah.
so here's what happened. So the power group moved from the Mediterranean. Then they moved to Spain, Portugal,
Hmm.
conquering the New World and all that. And then they
Hmm.
moved. Then they said, you know what? We're too out in the open here in Spain and Portugal. We need to find a place that we can hide our money and do our business that'll be safe. And so they looked around. Of course, they're the first people to get out, and they'll know everything in the world. And so
Hmm.
they go, oh, look at this. If you
Hmm.
take the Thames River and you
Yeah.
go all the way to this area here, at the end by the London Bridge,
Yeah.
anybody attacking us is going to have to go down the Thames River. We'll build cannons all the way
Yeah.
across to kill anybody that comes in to invade our stuff. We'll put our
Mm.
banking city here, and then we'll create a worldwide shipping empire, which we're going to call the East India Trading Company, which is going to
Yeah.
go and conquer
Yeah.
the whole world under not by
Yeah.
an army, but by a corporation
Yeah.
of bankers who are going to be ensconced in a completely new country within England called the City
Mhm.
of London, which is not governed by the crown. It's not governed by.
Yeah.
It's a completely just like Washington D.C.
Mhm.
is its own country, and the
Yeah.
Vatican is its own country. So is the
Yeah.
City of London, and
Yeah.
that is what they did. They decided, and then later they moved to America, where there's many hiding places, and
Yeah.
you can kind of see the transfer of power from England to America. And
Mhm.
now maybe they're moving somewhere else. I don't know. I would say that that's not true. That they're going to continue their seat of power in America
Mhm.
because of America's geography. Because America sits between two oceans. It has Hawaii, which is the most important real estate in the Pacific Ocean.
Mhm.
America is just too well off to abandon. So
Mhm.
I think the
Mhm.
power structure but the power structure also is now moving into space, and they're moving off
Yes.
planet, and
Yeah.
they're also afraid of the possibility of these plasma storms. They know all about them, by the way. They're
Yeah.
well aware of
Yeah.
what's going on. And again, I don't know if it's just a natural thing or if it's being directed or what, but we
You
get
know,
very.
I mean, it makes you think. I have no idea. I mean, I'm just off the top of my head in the conversation. It makes you think they're up there spraying or firing off something. They're using waves, radio waves, or sonic waves, or whatever they're doing, and it makes you think: who are they shooting at in space? It's just a thought. We know they're shooting at something. Well, why would you be doing that anyway? Is it to protect? We don't know, devil's advocate here. Is it to protect, to stop something, or is it firing at something more highly intelligent and than what we have here scientifically? I don't know. What do you think? I mean, deep down.
I would suggest that the same group that Graham Hancock is talking about, that went
Yeah,
around the earth helping everybody,
yeah,
um, had retained all of the knowledge of the previous
yeah,
civilization. So if they
yeah,
have all the knowledge, then they must be. What I would do, I mean, if I was in charge of shipping and building the maps
yeah. Mm,
and
mm,
everything, and you would
mm,
be the first ones are going to be them, and
yeah,
so and these would be the Phoenicians, by the way. They were the first people to build the big boats that could get out in the
yeah.
ocean. And so, they later became the Venetians when they took over the
Hmm.
Mediterranean area
Yeah,
and conquested the New World.
yeah.
And they're the ones that built all these fantastic buildings.
Hmm.
And so I believe that they probably have a secret land somewhere.
Yeah,
Um, and
yeah.
and from that secret land, they have all their alchemical machines and
Mm,
knowledge, and they're living a long time. And
mm.
we're their farm, kind of. Well, we grow the food for them, and
Yeah,
the
I'm
cow,
with you. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and we're just blind in the dark. Occasionally, we'll stumble into
But
one of their.
the fodder. They think they've woken up now. They know we know who we are. So when you look at that, you can, like with anything, if you have fire, you can use fire to cook your food and heat up, or you can use fire to burn and destroy. So with alchemy itself, I mean, the small amount of research, nothing like you've done, you can see in history that if someone who is what we would just call a negative Nelly, not a very nice human being, gets this information, it is mighty powerful to destroy and control others, is it not? And they would not want Joe Blogs or Gloria Blogs being aware of such knowledge, would they not?
Yeah, they want you to know it because a single person can become extremely powerful. Um,
Yes.
but you don't want. The thing is that if you use this knowledge for negative
Yeah.
things, it'll blow back on you.
Oh,
And so
yes. Yeah.
that's why I don't do magic, for instance. I will not
No,
practice ritual magic.
no,
I don't want any blowback. Like, no,
no.
I know it's going to
I
blow
don't.
back. I don't do curses on people or
No, no,
anything
no.
like
Don't do things like that. No,
no, because I
no.
know it's going to blow back on me because I
Yeah.
understand the dynamics of the physics of what I'm talking about. I
Yeah.
know
I'm with
that.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Um, so
Sorry, I distracted you. Sorry, do go on.
yeah. Instead of talking about the negative aspects of this, let's talk about what a person can do for themselves because
Yes,
that's
please.
really what's important.
Yeah.
So, there are no textbooks anywhere in India that indicate that there was a succession of discoveries that led to yoga. Yoga
Hmm.
is handed down to us completely finished. We don't know
Yeah.
who invented it. We don't know,
No.
where the down dog pose came from, where the
Hmm.
warrior stance came from. We don't know any of it. We
Hmm.
know is that all of these things are handed down to us all at once,
Yeah.
and in a very holistic fashion. Okay,
Hmm.
so what that means to me is that yoga was an invention of this previous civilization,
Yeah.
and that it all worked out eons ago.
Hmm.
Um, and then somehow that knowledge got passed down to the priests in India, who passed it down to the people.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
the
with
same
you.
thing is true about Taoism. When we get
Yeah.
Taoists, study Taoist, it's all together. There's no
Yeah.
any additions to it. There's
Hmm.
it's all holistically been given to us. Well, alchemy
Yeah.
is the same way. Alchemy is there's no like, oh, this guy found this and then this guy found that, and then they got together and they said, well, let's do this,
No,
and
I'm with
none of
you.
that going on. It was
It comes
already
down in a whole package.
yeah,
A
it's
whole
all
package. Yeah.
all right. So what's the point? Well, the point is, of course, is to gather light, to consume light. That's the whole
Hmm.
point. So in my house, I have these. I'll show you. I have these all over my house.
Mm. I can. Oh
Beautiful,
yeah, I can see. Yeah.
beautiful pyramids
Beautiful.
with minerals in them. And what
Hmm.
these are designed to do is to attract in etheric forces. All right.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is you have to make alchemy your practice. You have to,
Hmm.
yes, the Kali Yuga is right outside your door, and there's
Hmm.
nothing you can do about that. And people are going insane and mad, and yeah,
Hmm.
okay,
Yeah.
true. Okay, but what are you doing? Okay, so what you need to do is you need to enhance this field that's around you. You do
Yeah.
everything you can to make this field grow and be
Okay.
strong. So
Hmm.
so you want to surround your house with these kinds of objects all around your house. You want to
Hmm.
do prayers and meditations. You want to do yoga every day in the
Hmm.
morning if you can. Try to do it at least for 15, 20 minutes. Believe me,
Hmm.
will feel it. First you'll be sore, but after a while, because all yoga is an alchemical system designed to increase the field around you.
Hmm.
Because it's all about the back, because the back is the center. The spine is the center of where that vortex goes down. It goes
I'm
down
with you. Yeah.
through your spine and out the bottom of your spine and all around your body again, all the way around. And when you die, what happens is this vortex shrinks as
Hmm.
you're dying. This vortex shrinks down to where it's all wrapped around your spine. And then
Hmm.
when you die, the bottom of the spine collapses in on itself and starts going up. This etheric energy starts going up out the
Yeah.
top of your head, connected through the sushuma, which is a hundredth of no, millionth of the width of a human hair. It
Yeah.
goes out through the Shishuma, and that's the tunnel that you see. You're going through the
Yeah. Yeah.
Shishuma and
Yeah.
towards the source, which is this
Mm.
field that lies around the Earth. So the Earth is
Yeah.
inside this center here, and then the Earth, and we call it the Van Allen belts, which is a
Yeah.
scientific term for it, but actually is much more important than that, because this is where the souls dwell. And when the souls decide to return back, they come down through the top, and then they descend down into the Earth again.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
and the ascension
Interesting.
is going
Mm.
out the back end. So death is merely the release of the body,
Mm-hmm.
and the soul going back in. And so you want to do things that enhance it. So, you should eat a
Okay.
lot of alkaline foods. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Alkaline is anything above 6 pH. So if you can get take the pH paper and try to measure your pH and try to make sure that it's up above 6. If you can get to
Mm-hmm.
7.5, you will never get cancer. So we know
Mm-hmm.
that for sure. So pH is also about this, about the alkalinity and the acid. You notice how there's these binary things I'm talking about: melatonin, serotonin, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So um, you want to make sure you got a good sleep schedule. You want to make
Mm-hmm.
sure I would take a keto, or even if you're not, you think, oh, I'm old and I can't do it. No, you can. These
Mm-hmm.
martial arts are designed for
Mm-hmm.
people who are not strong. They're not
Mm-hmm.
designed for Mr.
Mm-hmm.
He-Man. They were designed
Yeah.
for little short Asian people who had
Yeah. Yeah.
to fight big people, right?
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
so take a martial art if you can. Take something
Yeah.
like that. Not
That's
because you
a
want
good one. I used to do Tai Chi. I haven't
to.
done it. Tai Chi. I used to do Tai Chi in my younger years. And then every so often, a form of it on my spiritual journey with some friends that I was with. I used to, and I found that effortless. And
Yep,
you could, when I was doing the Tai Chi, especially outside, I'd go outside with my friend, barefooted, in the garden, and
best way.
the energy, you'd feel your body, the tingle, and you could feel you were moving. You could actually feel like electricity. I can only say, um, yeah,
No,
I
I know
used
what
to do
you
that.
mean. I started hiking barefooted, and
Wow.
I saw this hippie, on my hike, and he
Yeah.
raced by me and he had these bare feet, and I thought, so I stopped him one time and I said, so your feet must be like shoe leather. And he said, yeah, they are. And I said, so what are you doing that for? And he said, dude, you will not believe the difference. He said, your shoes are shorting out the earth energy. I went,
Yeah.
really? And because
I.
they're rubber,
I'm.
they're rubber. Your bottom of your shoes are rubber. They're shorting
Yeah.
it out. So I
Yeah.
started doing it, and man, I
What a
really
difference.
feel
Yeah.
what a
When
difference.
when I was younger, Jay, my father used to call me she from the Blackfoot tribe because for some unknown reason, before I even had any knowledge of anything, I never would wear shoes. I
Yeah,
went out with no shoes on, no matter what the weather, and my feet were black and minging all the time. And that was as a child. And I
yep,
spend most of my adult life wearing not even shoes, flip flops, and then I flip them off. I hate having shoes on my feet. In fact, I can't have shoes on my feet. I can't.
yeah,
No.
yeah. So there's all these.
Wow.
So you're going to create a sacred space in your house
Yep.
that's going
Yep.
to increase your field. Okay.
Yep.
And then and you're going to meditate too every day.
Hmm.
Really good meditation, by the way, is to meditate in front of a candle and stare at the candle. And what you do, whether you're staring at a candle or you're sun gazing, and by the way, if you do sun gaze, don't you didn't hear it from me, but if you do sun gaze, don't stare at the sun. You stare
No.
at the side over by the
Yeah.
way from the sun, and
Yeah.
only do
I
it
learned
in
that years
the
ago. Yeah.
morning, only early in the morning, or right before it sets in the evening. Don't do it during
Yeah.
the daytime.
No.
No, no,
No.
no, no, no. Okay, but what you do is that when you're looking at this candle or the sun, just imagine that the light is coming into your eye and then going all the way to the back of your eye and bouncing off the eye, and then you're consciously shooting that light out your eye again. and just keep that as
Okay.
with a breath. Breathe in, you bring the light in. Breathe out, you're shooting it out. Breathe in. Just do that. Try that for just a minute a day and 5 minutes a day, because you're going to
Okay.
feel it. You're going to feel your pineal gland filling up with light. So
Okay.
mistletoe fills it up with light. Blue-green algae fills it up with light.
Mm,
Any kind of high pH foods fills it up with light. Keeping things that attract, like that pyramid, things that attract
yeah.
orgone or this plasma, whatever you want to call it, chi.
Yeah.
You're trying to build that up, and it has to be a conscious effort. And
Mm,
you'll find if you do this that after a while, your tolerance of other human beings increases.
yeah.
Uh, your ability to love when you need to love
Yeah.
increases, and
Yeah.
just an overall good feeling. And
Beautiful.
I envision a world, and this is one of the reasons I talk about this stuff in public, which
Yeah.
you're not really supposed to, is because
Hmm.
I want a world where we tear down our cities and we rebuild them with the
Yeah.
alchemical architecture in mind, so that we don't
Yeah.
have to go out of our way to create a sacred space,
Yeah.
because everything is going to be a sacred space.
Everything. Yeah. I
That's
mean,
what we
can
want.
I ask you? It's like you can see, the controllers. When you look at the, geographically, the amount of square mile of land on Earth, and everyone is locked down and squeezed into a little town, while there is millions of miles of open space. In the
Yeah.
fact that if we all 7 billion, I heard someone say it, I mean, I don't know if it's true, but it resonates with me. 7 billion people spread out across the earth, we'd have acres, acres. We'd have the space we should have. How does that resonate with you?
Well, I like to say, because I'm really don't believe in the people telling me that there's this big population that's destroying the earth. What I think is
Yeah,
destroying the earth is the way that we live our life. And so
absolutely.
I say if you had a planet of 10 billion Zen
Yeah,
masters, you could fly over the earth and probably see almost no evidence of human beings. But
absolutely.
if you had 1 million, a planet of 1
Yeah,
million Bill
uh,
Gates, this place
yeah,
would be destroyed, because you
yeah,
have to, the
yeah,
EU, for instance, the
mm,
EU just said that yachts do not have to be taxed. All right. Really, that yachts don't have to be taxed. This should tell you everything that you need to know about the world. All right. So you're going to be taxed, but if you own a yacht, that's not going to get taxed.
yeah,
So this is
yeah.
what's going on, and but we can undermine all of their little subterfuges and all that
Yes,
by
we
doing what I
can.
just said. And another thing that I think people need to think about right now,
Hmm.
because we're moving into a time of where everything's going to break down. It's
Yeah,
breaking down, and it's not going to get better. So I really think that I tell this to everybody now: find your tribe, find your
yeah,
tribe, find a group of people that think like you. You don't have to live
yeah,
together, but
mm,
like my tribe is, we're hooked together with radios. All right,
yeah,
we're on a certain frequency. You need
mm,
help, help.
mm,
We're not relying on any kind of
yeah,
internet or the
yeah,
phone or anything like that. We're just in our little
yeah,
community. If my house
yeah,
is on fire, people will come help me, and because you're not going to be
yeah,
able to rely on things to help you
no,
anymore. So find your tribe, and
yeah,
and work together, and find people that think like you. It's not that hard. You got an internet, you just there's ways to
yeah,
find people who live around you that think pretty
yeah,
much like you. Have a
yeah,
potluck dinner, bring them over and talk and get
mm,
conversations going. And
mm.
because we're moving into a time right now, grow your own food if you can.
Oh
And
yeah, I mean, I'm in total agreement with you. I'm hoping to move this year off the mainland onto an island, small island,
yeah,
and I found my tribe. I found them here via connected internet. Then we met physically. We travelled, and I met them on the island, and they're my tribe. We're one tribe, and I've already spoke about. I don't eat vegetables because I can't. However, I'll grow vegetables. I'll get worst comes to the worst. I'll give you vegetables, you give me potatoes, I'll
Yeah,
give you, get the chickens. So what we do, we would just keep on our timeline, going through what we need to do, helping each other until it all has to fall apart to be rebuilt again.
that's
But
right.
it
And
needs to happen.
that's right. So what we need to do now, what's so important, is to plant the ideas into the
Yeah,
mind, so that
yes,
when everything's ruined,
yeah,
now we can rebuild with the
yeah,
architecture that is healing, and, and
absolutely.
and build societies that are not built based on
Yeah,
just efficiency and
yeah,
convenience. Because
yeah,
our ancient ancestors built these incredible buildings with all these ornaments, but what if they're not really ornaments? What if there's a
yeah.
purpose or a function to all of this that we're just not
Yes,
seeing, right?
yes,
And,
yes.
so I really think that that's where we have to go. But right before I got on here, I was going through the internet of my town where I grew up in,
Mm,
a little Hobunk town in the middle of the Midwest. And
mhm,
remember when I was growing up that there was all these incredibly ornate buildings that literally got torn down right in front of my
mhm,
eyes. And I thought,
mhm.
I wonder what was going on. So I got on the internet right before I got on there, and I looked and I saw old pictures of these
Yeah,
incredibly beautiful buildings. And I thought to
yeah.
myself, why would you tear these down?
I'm
What?
in such agreement with you. I keep in the UK, and I'm slightly mature here, and I've seen them pull down these ornate, amazing buildings. And why would you do that? And then put up these made in a factory houses that are like nothing attracts you. The energy of these properties, nothing attracts you. But Jay, they're ripping down some amazing architecture. And sometimes when they're not supposed to, they still do it and they go, oops, we're sorry. There's a
Yeah.
reason for that. I think, I think I can say alchemy. When these alchemists created these amazing buildings, yeah, the energy that was going in, the magic, it is magic. It's all vibrational. That place itself, and I'm in total agreement with you, was a healing center, was a power source for the individual being. And that's why, the only ones they haven't torn down is the cathedrals, because, they can't go that far. But
Uh,
that's
but
for their own self purpose. Go
but
on.
they've destroyed the cathedrals. They've taken, like Shark Cathedral. They put a metal roof on. Um,
Oh, God,
yeah,
no.
that's the worst
Yeah.
thing you can
Ah, well,
possibly do.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're destroying the cathedrals. I'm sure that's a fire. I'm not going to get into that one. But
Yeah.
Notre Dame, its roof is now destroyed. So they're going to have to
Oh,
replace it. One wonders what they're going to replace it with. And
yeah.
by the way, 800-year-old oak, which is in the roof of Notre Dame, is like really hard to burn. I mean,
Well, yeah. I mean, but that's another thing. I mean, about the Oaks. I don't know if this is true. I'm asking the question, audience or Jay. You know how they say, oh, we're felling here and we're building houses there, but we'll replant trees. Do they? I've never seen them replant oak trees. Have you?
no,
Yeah.
no.
Never.
Just like they recycle your glass, and they're telling you they're recycling it. They're not recycling. They're just throwing
They're not
that your
recycling jack shit.
they're just throwing it all away in the dump. There's nothing they
It's
can do
all
to
in the same place. I
that.
had that conversation the other day with someone, and they were talking about recycling. And I said, it's already come out. We've known way back, but in the UK, that we're forced to separate
Yeah,
or we're fined. Yeah. But
yeah,
when they take it, it's all in one hole. I'm
exactly.
going,
Yep.
wake up, for God's sake. But you know what, Jay? I don't know if you can get seedling oaks, but someone needs to find them. They won't plant oak trees. That says a lot in itself. So I think it concludes. Oh, it's been, Jay, thank you so much. It has
You
been
bet.
absolutely fascinating talking to you. Absolutely fascinating. And
Thank
I
you.
will ask you back again. And I know you're going to zoom off because you always do. I'm getting used to it. But thank you so much, Jay, for joining us and sharing your knowledge on alchemy this evening.
Do you think it would be okay if I put this show up on my reality check show?
Yes, put this show up on your reality check.
I'll have
Yes, that's my
my
permission.
producer
Do it.
I'll have my producer contact you.
All right, lovely. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, bye for now, Jay. Take care. Bye. Well, thank you, everybody, for watching the show, either live or on the rerun. And it's just been a blast. It was fascinating for me. I love learning, and I love learning about alchemy. I've had many guests come on recently, and we've touched on alchemy and magic and things like that. And I think it's really important for these times. It's part of who we are, as Jay's just expressed. So until the next time, I'm Gloria, and this is Open Minds Chat Show. Bye for now.